Today, I'm going to be giving a speech about my favorite artist, Kanye West, and why, in my opinion, I truly believe he is one of the greatest rappers of all time. Kanye West was born on June 8th of 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia. Him and his family quickly moved to Chicago, Illinois, where his father was a photographer and a former member of the Black Panthers. His mother was a college professor. Growing up, Kanye was always really big into art, performing, plays, and especially music. As he started to get into his late teens, Kanye really started to have a feeling and get to really have an interest in music. He then went on to only go into 1 year of college and then decided to drop out to pursue a career in music. He would then really want to get serious into it, so he decided to move all the way to New York, where he would sign with Rockefeller Center, who was started and founded by Jay-Z. One night, him and Jay-Z were in the studio with a bunch of other artists who were also friends with Jay-Z. But one notably that really took an impact on Kanye's career, who was there that one night, was Jamie Foxx, where Kanye was able to meet Jamie Foxx, and then from there, Kanye wrote a song for Jamie Foxx where that song would end up on his first album, which was called The College Dropout. And that album first came out in 2004. From there, Kanye would have a lot of success with that album and decided to make his second album, which in 2005 he made Late Registration. At that point in his career, Kanye started to get much bigger and then started to get on top charts as far as albums. He then would make an album called Graduation in 2007. After that album, he then decided to make his fourth album, which we called 808s and Heartbreak in 2008. Then, at the Grammy Awards, as a lot of people saw, him and Taylor Swift had a feud with each other where Taylor Swift was receiving an award, and then that one night when Kanye, as reports said, he was really drunk, and he decided to go on stage and take the award, and then he thought, in his opinion, that Beyonce, who was Jay-Z's wife, who he's also very good friends with, should have gotten that award. So then Kanye basically took a year where he had to sit to himself because a lot of people at that time were very angry at him because of what he did with the whole Taylor Swift situation. So then what he decided to do was work on his next album, which a lot of people, in their opinion, and even my opinion, because I think this is by far my favorite album by him and favorite album in general, he started to make an album which would then on this past decade really be looked at as probably one of the greatest albums ever. That album in 2010 was made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Then the next year, in 2011, he decided to make an album, a collab album, with Jay-Z called Watch the Throne. Then 2 years later, in 2013, he made another album called Yeezus. And then 3 years later, he decided to make an album called The Life of Pablo. And then at that point, he was looked at as easily one of the biggest artists in the rap industry. And then in skip to two years later, in 2018, he made his album called Ye. And in the same year of 2018, he and Kid Cudi made a collab album called Kids See Ghosts. And then this past year, in 2019, he made his 9th solo album called Jesus is King. Now, a lot of people always ask me, why do I truly believe that Kanye is one of the most influential, or why do I think that he's one of the greatest? Here's a bunch of reasons why. If we look at his influence, Kanye West has been around since 2003. Even though he first made his first solo album in 2004, he's been around since 2003. If you look at each of his albums have been totally different, from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy to Yeezus. Both of those albums are two different ones. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is probably by far his most lyrically based album, and then Yeezus has a lot of electronic notion devices in that album. Two different types of albums, in my opinion, what a lot of people have seen. A lot of things that go with his influence is a lot of artists have taken a lot of his style and put it into their music. Artists such as, let's say, Lil Uzi Vert, Drake, Big Sean, Travis Scott. Those are some of the biggest notables that I can really think of that have really taken a lot of what he made in his music early on in his career and basically formed it into their music. His achievements. Kanye has won 21 Grammy Awards, and he's also won between 200 and 250 awards in general. That is a lot of awards. Then, more reasons why he's also become so influential is because he started his own group, which is called Good Music. And Good Music is a group where he signed artists such as Travis Scott, Big Sean, Kid Cudi, Pusha T. And from there, what he did was, a lot of those, when they were young in their career, he took them and started working on albums with them, started helping them with their beats, and then he transformed them, and all four of them today are really, really big artists. Also, to go along with his influence, it's not just in music, it's also with art. He's been really big in fashion, and he's also started to design a lot of clothes. And what that's done is it's made more money and it's bought his stock up very, very to a large amount, where very few artists in today's, especially like the rap industry, have been able to make as much money as him, because he's taken himself and he's kind of, I would say in my opinion, he's made himself an entrepreneur. And what that has done for him is basically spaced him out compared to anyone else, where he's able to sell music. And also another thing to go along with that is he started making shoes that are partnered with Adidas called Yeezys. And what that's done is it's brought him into the shoe industry, which is like another industry that he's also been built into. So where he creates shoes, he also does fashion, and he also does music. He's found multiple different ways to make music, which in my opinion, I think that makes him so influential, and that makes him so big as an artist, to where people look at him and say, wow, he's able to do so many different things and create so many different ways for him to make money, and so many different things where people can look at him and say, wow, I don't have to do just one thing. I can also do a multitude of other things. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.